Welcome to the last month of the year. Yep, it's been a long year, been a good year, but you know, we've finally reached year's end. Yeah, I know it's July, but if you've been watching me for a while, you know that I consider the beekeeping year to be August is the first month, July is the last month, because everything you do in August prepares you for the next year. We're going to talk about that in August, next month. It's, I think, one of the most critical months. But July, you know, it's kind of nice to rest a little bit at the end of the year. I don't mean rest or not rest, but you know, things are pretty much at a status quo, or you know, that's just, it's like it's running itself. That's the best way to put it. And you know, and hopefully it's everything that you've done the year leading up to this point that gets you to be able to go, oh, take maybe a little tiny break. I'm not so sure how much of a break I'm going to get this year. I do want to run through just a couple of calendar things that I will be doing in January. July. Okay, it's hot outside. I think I've got a little bit of heat thing going on. So 94 degrees, dew points in the upper 70s. It's ugly out there. So not a lot of beekeeping, but it is bee bearding weather, I will tell you that. So what are some of the things that I'm doing? Well, it's pretty simple this month. There's just not a lot going on. The big thing for me is going to be extracting honey. So this has been a really good year, and I'm talking to a lot of close friends in the area, in general area. And again, as I say it again, I'm in the St. Louis area, just outside of St. Louis in Illinois. So it gives you the perspective of where I'm at and what's happening with me. Just apply that to wherever region you're in, or just hop on for the ride, but keep your hands and feet inside the ride till it comes to a complete stop. Trust me on that one. But this has been a great year for me so far. I had a lot of issues early on. You know, I think if you've been watching, I had a huge failure with demarays. I had at least probably half my hives swarmed. I was lucky to be able to capture half those hives. Happened at a good time. Bees rebuilt, things were going. And last week, I extracted my 1,000th pound. So I felt good about that. Added up everything the other day from what I can find on the hives and extraction this fourth week of April, Just pick a seat on the bus, pick a month on the bus, Dave, and sit down. Anyway, so in July, third week in July, I guess there's 5 weeks in July this year, we will commence to extract about another 1,400 pounds of honey. You know, I said early on this year, I had a goal of at least 2,000 pounds to get me through what I wanted, and I really would want about 2,300. I'm gonna have, if everything pans out right and nothing crazy happens, I should end up with about 2,400 pounds for this honey flow for the spring, which I'm happy, I'm crazy happy about. Because I always pick up a few hundred in the fall. In fact, it may be more than a few hundred this fall when we get the fall flow around here. If the weather stays, you know, pretty good for growing conditions, that's very possible. So I'm excited about that. Obviously, when we get to about November, December, I'll be giving you a full update on all that. But so we're going to extract. That's a big thing. And the other thing I need to do is that I need to combine Nucs. Right now, I've got 10 Nucs at 2 different bee yards, and it's time now to combine those Nucs and get them into, not combine Nucs, but to transfer them into 10 frame boxes. Because I'm going to take them through the winter. I'm going to keep them. They were great resources this year. I, again, started out with 10. Actually, I think I'm down to 8, I think, that are viable. I've got 2 of those I'm going to actually go in. I'm either going to pinch a queen or I don't have a queen in one of those 2, and we're going to just combine those boxes. And the others are already in double deeps. If you've watched my Nook box video, it talks about how I've got a Nook box system and it's interchangeable. So I've got several Nooks that are running 2 deeps and you know, 2 5-frame deeps. If you do the math, makes 1 10-frame box. So I'll be combining those into 10-frame boxes. I also have several Nooks that have honey supers on top of them, so I'm not even counting that honey into it. into the mix, but that'll just be food for them. I won't harvest that. I'll just leave that as food for them to build up over and for the winter. That's combining the Nucs. And I will do in the very last week, well, it's gonna take me at least 2 weeks to extract, but I'm gonna do a mite check. I did Viroxan it was scheduled to be at the first week of June. It actually ended up being closer to the middle of the third week of June. Anyway, it's just the way the weather worked. Right now I'm on about 2/3 of the way through my first Viroxan treatment. I'm not sure if I might put another Viroxan run on just to keep the mite counts low in August. I want to do a spot check on mites. And I think that's important if you're using Viroxan. If you're not, you need to be doing mite checks at the end of July or even the beginning of July. August is when Varroa mites start to reach their peak. And you don't want weak hives or Varroa mite attacking your August bees, because your August bees are the beginning of next year's honey crop. We'll talk about that in August, but very important. So if you're not doing treatments up to this point to keep your mite counts low, you need to do a check and figure out where you're at and treat if you're beyond thresholds, which is, I don't know what, 3 mites per 100 bees or 200 bees. I can't remember, but it's all written down on my little mite check thing. So, and I don't have that with me. So, it's easy to find out there. So that's the other point. I'm checking my list. It's like Santa. I'm going to split Nucs to deeps. Probably the other big thing to watch for this month is dearth. And for me, we just keep flowing on. And we've had, this is our 3rd day of really hot, really humid, dry weather. But the ground is still wet and the plants are going kaboom. We've got thunderstorms scheduled for Saturday through mid next week. If we get that rain, we won't go into a dearth. So, it's really good for the bees. But you got to watch. If you get into a dearth and if you pulled your honey supers, it's time to even start feeding, or leave a little bit of honey on the hives for the bees. So that's pretty much July. I am starting to do. It's candle time, so I'm starting to make votives out of beeswax. I've already pulled about 5 pounds of wax. At this point, most of that went to waxing frames. But now, I'm in the process of, it's just so pretty. I just love fresh, pure beeswax. I've got a video on that. I'm going to probably do an update video because I've switched a little bit about how I render wax now, mainly just to make it even more pure and just make it really clean. I may do a follow-up on that as well. That's what I got. Pretty simple month. It's okay. Maybe simple is a little good because it's been a run. It's been a run, especially, that I've increased the number of hives I'm working right now. You get up into the 30s for me as a solo person. I do have, have had some great help with Shari and Rob, who I'm mentoring. And I can't say enough for what they've helped me with, and hopefully they've learned this year. But I'm mostly solo, so it can be a challenge. It keeps you busy. But that's kind of what you got. Thanks for watching. I so appreciate the support that you all are giving me for this channel. As I always say, it's really nice to be liked. So if you get a chance, hit that little like button. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. It costs you nothing. Hopefully you get what you pay for. And as always, happy beekeeping. See you next month.